Greetings, Phillies and gentle giants. I know, long time no see. I'm Vanilla Beam, and welcome to Vanilla Views. That must mean I found a really bad episode of MLP again, right? Well, kinda. We're now finally in Season 7, and so far from the season premiere, we haven't gotten a two-parter to start the season off. Instead, we got one introductory episode that tells us what's going on, and a second episode that just acts as filler to the rest of the season. And both episodes are pretty good so far. But then comes the third episode, which I'm gonna say isn't a bad episode. It just seems very confused at what message it's trying to tell. And it doesn't seem that the main character, aside from Twilight, is...
Ah, boy, here we go.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard getting through this, isn't it? Oh well, let's get this over with. So the plot of this episode is that Shining Armor and Princess Cadance are really wanting to get some peace and quiet away from the Swine Princess. So rather than, sending a message ahead of time, drop in on Twilight's castle and say, "Hey, Twily! Could you watch over our niece for a few hours? Great, we knew you'd do it since you're family and all. We couldn't just, have one of our maids or nannies watch her. No, let's have you, the princess of friendship, and owner of your own responsibilities, at the very last minute, watch your niece. Thanks, BBL. Now I know they probably want Twilight to see her own family and all, but you really couldn't have sent a letter or something so that way Twilight could at least baby-proof the castle? And why are they even there? If they wanted to get away, why couldn't they do something at home? Leave the kid there with the few hundred maids and get drunk, rather than, go to an art show that they aren't even interested in. Meanwhile, Twilight is just so happy with Flurry's arrival, she shows her affection by literally showering her with gifts. So, any normal parent watching their baby being crushed by objects would be all, "Nope, you're never seeing your niece again!" But Shining and Katie are so sick of this kid, they're probably praying you killed her. Or cartoon physics could be the case too. A stallion can dream. So while she and the baby play along with some stuffed bears, Shining Armor and Cadance explain that what Twilight needs in order to take care of her for the day. All of the essentials. Literally, if none of these are met, the entire event could turn into a disaster. And we see that Twilight is too busy playing with Flurry to even pay attention. Now, I want you to remember this. By the way, the side plot is that Twilight is asked to come read to some sick foals at the hospital. Jeez, MOP, I didn't know you guys could go into such touchy subject. Oh, of course, it's just the horsey hives. What, did you think it was cancer? Oh, my bad. I don't know how you could have got those mixed up, especially when one of the foals is wearing a fucking bald cap. So yes, we have our main plot, the side plot that intertwines with the episode, and we're all ready to go with some extra filler just for a nice little delicacy. So, how does this all play out? Well, Twilight seems too preoccupied with Flurry Heart to keep to the schedule with the hospital. She first decides to play with Flurry by pretending to be a bear. Now, if only she mauled her like one. Also, we can see throughout the episode that she's slowly getting her magic back, which is never a good thing. Not to mention, unfair. How is it Sweetie Belle could barely muster a spark when she was still an early crusader, but yet Flurry Heart is able to levitate multiple objects, create force fields, and teleport at just an infant state? And no, don't use that alicorn bullshit. So, back to the story. Twilight then decides to feed her, and Flurry decides to decorate the room with her favorite food. Wouldn't it be smarter to have Twilight be confused about what her favorite food was, only for Spike to chime in and mention how she didn't listen and rather played? Whatever, I didn't write this, what do I know? So, then realizing that she's falling way behind schedule, Twilight, Spike, and the Waste of Space run around Ponyville for supplies. In the meantime, Flurry wants to keep playing with Twilight, but Twilight ignores her. This leads to Flurry finding other different ways to distract herself.
As if I really look like this!
One particular point at Sugar Cube Corner, Twilight picks up the cupcakes for the hospital foals, and with some extra giggles from Pinky.
In my secret party planning cave! BRB!
During this point, Flurry Heart sees that the Cake Twins are fighting over a toy, and she wants Spike and Twilight to help them stop fighting. Now I want you to remember this as well. Flurry decides to help herself, but because
Everything I touch dies!
she makes the problem worse, and the cakes turn into the fucking mob! So with that encounter ruined, Twilight finally makes it to the hospital and proceeds to read to the Phillies and Coles, with a nice little throwback to an old MLP villain. But Flurry wants more attention and doesn't get it and throws a fit. Splendid. And in the midst, she loses her whammy. Yeah, I got a couple of whammies for her.
Double whammy. Double whammy.
So she loses her toy, and rather than throwing a fit like a normal baby would do, like a few seconds ago, she ventures off and has a panic attack, looking in every nook and cranny for the toy, making everything fly. So Twilight finally snaps at her and tells Flurry that what she's doing is wrong, but instantly takes it back when she starts to cry. Now, why did she apologize for yelling at Flurry Heart?
You're scared of me because I yelled at you like a big scary bear. Flurry, I'm so sorry. I've been a terrible aunt today. All you wanted to do was play, and I've barely been able to pay attention to you. None of this is your fault. It's mine. So much for being the best aunt ever. But I hope you know how much I love you.
Okay, first off, I will never get over that whole big scary bear thing. There's an obvious difference between
Flurry Heart, put us all down this instant!
and... Secondly, I like you to say that kind of shit to Harry. I mean, that's pretty fucked up. Third, you yelled at her because she was legit endangering the safety of all the sickfuls in the room. Fourth, you cannot use the whole, she's just a baby, she doesn't know any better excuse. If she's smart enough to recognize a friendship problem, she should know when she's going a bit too far with her actions. Fifth, I want to point out that this thing was supposed to keep her from fussing, yet she seems to be pretty fussy here with the whammy present. Sixth, you think she's gonna calm down with you looking like this? I mean, seriously, use that egghead of yours.
Naughty.
Right! So, anyway, there's a pity party, everything gets fixed, they go home, Shining and Cadence are reminded of Flurry, which makes them cry, I would too. They pick her up and quickly rush out what I mentioned was the problem, just so that way the writers can say,
we didn't forget that this was an issue, we just didn't have the time to think that this was an issue till now.
The end! So my thoughts on the episode itself? Well, even though it had plenty of fun and cute moments involving Twilight, and Spike is definitely improving on no longer being a punching bag or a running gag, it's a tad unlikable. Not only is this just a rehash of 2 episodes that have already been written, but this episode is just an excuse for people to say, ignore your responsibilities. If your baby relative pops over for a visit, you have to take care of her, no matter what, even if you have prior, possibly more important responsibilities, like reading the kids with cancer. And if your baby ruins everything, it's just simply you didn't spend enough time goofing off with her. She's just a baby, and she doesn't know any better.
Gotta love me!
I'm getting sick of this kid. Send her back to the changelings. Oh, they're not under Chrysalis anymore. Fuck.